Discovery Church. I hope this video finds you all safe and well amongst this COVID-19 crisis. I suppose you can see from the title this evening I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety and maybe offer a few tips about how to manage that. And also, as you can see from the title, it's okay not to be okay. That's something you've probably become more and more familiar with over recent times. And I suppose in relation to mental health, which is what we're focusing on this week, that's very true. It is okay not to feel okay. I suppose the important thing is to talk to someone about that and to be honest about how you're feeling. So what is anxiety? So anxiety is a healthy emotion. It can also be a very unhealthy emotion. So I suppose in terms of being healthy, it can actually motivate us if we're going for an interview or maybe we're sitting exams. It's actually quite normal and okay to be anxious. It actually motivates us to do something that we maybe think we can't do, and it kind of can build our confidence. So that's all good stuff. In terms of COVID-19, then it's normal to feel anxious. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. We don't know what's going to happen. So that's actually quite normal. So today, if that's how you're feeling, that's okay to feel like that. I suppose anxiety becomes unhealthy when it is something that's very worrying, very severe, very persistent and consistent fear of what might happen. It's very debilitating in your life. You might not want to leave the house. You might be having frequent panic attacks, or you might have an anxiety disorder. And if that's you, I suppose I would really encourage you to seek help about that, because there is help out there. So I suppose, what does anxiety look like? I suppose I've said to you there, like, it's a feeling of dread, it's a fear, it's worrying about the future, so much so that it's impacting you. You find it very hard to stop thinking about it and dwelling on it. You're maybe not sleeping well, you're maybe shortness of breath, all those kind of things. So what can we do to manage that? I suppose one of the key things, I just want to touch on a panic attack at the moment. Hopefully you're not struggling with that, but just if you ever did. A panic attack is where you basically feel like you can't get a breath, that you're gonna die. I suppose the key thing to remember that at the moment, or what I can offer you today, is you cannot die of a panic attack. So it's always helpful to know that. So I suppose what's helpful to do in that situations is to imagine yourself stuck, that you can't move, to sit down and to kind of sit it out, and to tell yourself that, number one, you're not going to die, you can't die of a panic attack. Number two, this will be temporary. It's about sitting with the uncomfortable thoughts and feelings and knowing that you are going to come through it. Another key thing with a panic attack is your breathing, taking deep, long breaths. So you're going to breathe in for 7 seconds, you're going to hold for 1, and the key thing is to breathe out very slowly, maybe up to 11 seconds if you can manage that. And what this actually does is it relaxes your body, and it actually allows your brain to function, reduces the adrenaline in your nervous system. So that's for a panic attack. Just thought it was important to give you that little tip. So what about general anxiety, everyday anxiety amongst COVID-19? Like I said, it's natural to feel really anxious and wonder what's going to happen about the future, how you're going to get through the day. So I suppose the key thing, or one very important thing, is the idea of mindfulness, being present in the moment, focusing on the moment and not too far ahead. And there's little tools out there that you can use to help you do that. Grounding tools, and one of those tools is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 tool. So 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So it's about sitting and kind of noticing, looking for those things. You can do that little tool a few times a day to help you be present. Another 3-minute mindfulness exercise is for the first minute to focus on your internal thoughts and feelings, and it's about not actually trying to change that, but just noticing what you actually are thinking. The second one then is to look at, for the next minute, it's looking at your breathing and noticing your abdomen going up and down as you breathe. Again, it's not trying to change it, it's just sitting with it and noticing it. And the third minute is looking at maybe your external parts of your body, maybe your facial expressions, your hands, your legs, and it's just, again, noticing it and not trying to change it. So it's a little 3-minute, very basic mindfulness tool that you can do any time of the day, a couple of times a day, that will help just ground you. So what are some of the other things that we can do in terms of managing anxiety? So I suppose one of the key things, like everything, is a basic healthy lifestyle as much as you can. It's about routine, it's about eating healthy, not overeating, it's about drinking plenty of water, exercise, getting plenty of sleep, and kind of avoiding those key things that would impact on that. Maybe drinking too much alcohol, drinking too much coffee, eating too much, all those kind of things that make us feel a bit unhappy in ourselves. So if you're feeling anxious, it would be key to kind of look at some of that and just to monitor that. Another thing is just on the mindfulness, actually there is apps and little demonstrations on YouTube out there. I actually have an app called Soul Time. It's a Christian app and I find it very helpful. It's a biblical teachings, but there's also a part of that looks on managing your anxiety. There is a cost to that, so if you can't maybe afford that, like I said, you can Google or look on YouTube for other little mindfulness demonstrations. Some of the other things then is about key is having a routine, especially if you have kids. Predictability is very important for them. One key thing is about having something every day that you enjoy doing. It could be reading, it could be dancing, it could be walking, it could be listening to music, whatever that is. Another very important thing is to talk to someone. Maybe if you can't talk to someone in your family, you might be able to write a letter to someone. And their social media is very good in terms of linking in with other people. Although what I would say about social media in terms of news at this time is kind of minimise that, because that can become that can create anxiety, really overthinking all those things and getting worried about what you're reading. Some of the other things then is, like I said, you might write a letter, but you might want to journal things down. You might want to write your thoughts down. And the key with that is when you do that is to kind of challenge your thoughts. Maybe like you might have a thought like, oh, I've lost my job, I'm never going to work again. So it's about kind of looking for evidence for that. What is the evidence? It's more likely that you will work again. It's just where you're feeling right now. And I suppose a wee key tip is if you can imagine that you're your best friend and you're going to give you advice. So what would you say to you if you were your best friend at this time? So there are a few helpful tips. I suppose one thing I just want to leave with you is something that's blessed me my whole life is the Serenity Prayer. It's well known in Alcoholic Anonymous circles, and it basically is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We might not be able to do anything about COVID-19 right now. That's happening. We kind of have to accept that and adapt to that. But we do have a great God who we can pray to. We can pray to help us with this. We have lots of friends. He makes us who we are. He's created us who we are. We have skills and talents and gifts that we can use amongst all of this to help each other out. And being part of a church is one of those great things. And a final little verse I just want to leave you with in the Bible is Philippians 4. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, in prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God, and the peace of God will grant you peace and understanding. So, church, I hope that has blessed you in some way and you've got some little tip out of that, and I hope to see you soon.